starting work on our C10 here. We got a fender over here ready to prep. We're gonna show you everything on that, how to properly prep for paint, all that fun stuff. We're gonna go over some basic tools. So we have a pair of side dikes here. We're gonna use these to cut off any potential spots that will cut your fingers open. It has happened. I've done it on this fender. It does not feel good. Have some just basic red Scotch-Brite to scuff up the fender. We have 320 grit sandpaper to get rid of a sand line from a repair. Super glue, because more than likely we're going to cut ourselves open. And then just orange paper to kind of show you guys on the fender some of the sharp areas. One of our first parts here to kind of help you show you here is there's a really nice, nasty, sharp piece of metal there. Also along here, there's multiple sharp pieces that will 100% slice you open. That does not feel good. Some of these aftermarket fenders are real sharp, real dangerous. You just want to be careful. So first thing we're going to do, the worst of it, we're going to clip this little piece off here. Oh. Try not to create a bigger issue than what it was before. And that is much nicer. We can knock down the little bit of edge with some sandpaper. These don't concern me a whole lot, but I am going to round them off with these nippers anyway, just because I don't like having to patch myself up. Oh, bent that one in a little bit. Let's re-round that. But much nicer. Got rid of those edges. And no matter what you do, there's always going to be sharp edges on these fenders. You get up in here, these will slice you wide open. No fun. Okay, so we're going to start scuffing our substrate here. I'm using just red Scotch-Brite pad. Now depending on what product you use, depends on how heavy you're going to scuff this. If you're using like a rattle can or something cheaper, you definitely want to give it a heavier scuff. We're using a higher brand paint, so we're going to give it just a very light scuff. But for a rattle can, you really want to get in there. You want to get rid of any shiny piece. Oh, sand this down. If it's shiny, it won't stick. Just kind of a good rule of thumb for cheaper product. You get into every crack, every crevice. And we will continue on doing this until we're all got the whole panel done. We have most of our panel here scuffed down, ready to go. What we're going to do is we had a repair on this side we're going to go over later, but we need to get rid of this hard tape line here, or that will look absolutely awful in the final product. We're going to take our 320 grit sandpaper and we're going to get rid of this feathered in nicely. All the scuffing and sanding, we want to make sure not to go through this E-coat on here. This stuff sticks really good and you can paint or seal and paint directly to this. Just trying to get rid of that nice hard line there. Still got some here. Oh, we're getting a little too aggressive with it, starting to go through that E-coating. And don't worry if you do go through the E-coating in some areas. You're going to seal this up or prime it up anyways. Okay, now that our panel is nice and scuffed up, we got rid of our hard paint line, we need to take any fingerprints, residual dust, anything from sanding and scuffing off. We're using wax and grease remover. You can use lacquer thinner, paint thinner, anything like that, but you just want to make sure it's clean. So we're going to spray it directly on our rag here. And we're going to wipe the whole area we're going to be painting down. Almost cut myself there. Like I said, warned you, this thing took a chunk of my rag right off. If it would have been my finger, that would have felt amazing. But we've got pretty much our whole area wiped down. We're going to take another rag, just give it a nice little quick wipe down again with a fresh rag. This helps speed up the drying of the cleaner, thinner, or whatever you're using. And that's how sharp it is. Went right through my skin. Let's try not to get any blood on this panel now.
Gotcha.
Let's use the rag I used some cleaner on to keep blood from getting on my panel now. Told you there's a reason we had super glue. But that is mostly clean there, and we should be ready for our sealer. So now that I'm, got a little bit of blood going on here, just want to make sure we don't get any of that on your panel, because that will 100% mess up your paint. So keep it wrapped up, works great. So now we're going to spray on our sealer. Definitely want to wear a mask with this. If you're using a sealer like us, this runs real quick and it runs real fast, so we got to be very fast about this. Rattle can primer works good, anything like that. You just want to make a great base for your paint to be even across your whole vehicle or something like that. So let's get to painting like this. So I'll put my mask on here, and when you're painting, you're going to want to keep a even distance with your tip of your nozzle to this, to your substrate. So as you come around, you're going to want to keep the same distance from here as here. This stuff will run quick, so I've got to do this very quickly so I don't mess up my product. I'm going this way. And we're good on this. Now we've got to put our paint down. This is a single stage paint. We're going for kind of a factory look on this, so we're going to paint the inside to match the outside, with the exception, of course, being a single stage paint. You can do similar things like this with a rattle can or other paints. We're using a higher end product, of course, but same concept applies to all of it. So we're going to start here with this hard line here. It's hard to hit this from different angles. So we're just going to bring this in very fast. Now don't be afraid to, you don't have to hit this in one coat. This is going to take 2 to 3 coats to get this entire inside painted. So now that our hard line is basically done on that, we're going to come back over here and we're going to just give it a nice light coat. We don't want to run it all. So let's go. We're going to come back around here and make sure we hit this bottom section right under the lip here and through here. So in some places you can't hit from the angle over there. Make sure not to hit your hose into it like I just did. And now we let that flash out. And now that our first coat has properly flashed out on our substrate, and you may be asking what a substrate is, some of you who don't know, substrate is the panel you're painting. It's an autobody term for what you're painting. Basics on that. So now with the second coat, we're going to go a little heavier. Now is the coat we start covering everything up. So there again, we're going to start right here, just like we did. We're going to go a little heavier. And just like the first coat now, we gotta let this flash out, we move on to our third coat. So now what we're gonna do is, it's called a fog coat. Being that this is a heavy metallic, it really helps with it. It keeps tiger striping and modeling out of it. We want this to look great. You know, I love this truck, definitely want to look great, and I'm sure you want to look, the product to look great on yours. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go in the opposite direction of what we were doing before, kind of a 45-degree angle. We're gonna come up here, we're gonna go a little high. Come around where I can actually reach now. We're going to continue to and this just kind of helps it from standing up. It helps the metallics align, all that fun stuff. And last little bit here, because this is kind of a critical area. This is seen here, so we're going to okay, so we have the inside of our fender painted here. Blue is turning out amazing. Clear coat on it looks even better though, but we're gonna leave this a single stage on the inside. Join us for part 2 when we go over the outside of this. We're gonna show you how to properly prep, fix any damages that are there, glaze, you know, paint and clear coat, and do all that fun stuff here to give you a really great looking product. Thank you.